Oh, hey, we're live, yay. I don't know, oh, I have actually got a pretty good signal out here. Hey YouTube, welcome to another Let's Talk. Right now I am in Idaho. This is the stopping point we make at my uncle's house back there. We stop overnight, and then we go up to Washington. We don't drive straight through like some people might. My mom can't do that, and I'm kind of glad that we make this stop. It's nice of my uncle to offer us to stay here. So if you guys remember the last episode of Clock Hunting, which is numbered sequentially and not actually the last episode, there's a few before that, I went out to Washington to see my grandfather because he was in the hospital. If you want more details, go check that video out. But basically, seemed like he was doing good, and then he passed away. And actually, I should say my step-grandfather. I never knew my real grandfather, only when my grandma got remarried, and I don't remember the wedding or anything. I don't think I was born for the wedding. But yeah, it was really good to have him around. It was great. He was pretty good with little kids, and, you know, yeah. So, this one, we're going to talk a little bit about death and kind of sort of avoiding pain. And I will say that I almost saw this coming, like, just a little bit before we went on our first trip to Washington. You know, I said, you know, it probably is going to end up being where my step-grandfather says, I don't want to be in this stupid hospital bed anymore. And I know that sounds a little bit silly. It's kind of reflective of his slight attitude sometimes. And I said it as kind of a meaning to be serious of saying what I think, but also give it a lighter, maybe it's kind of silly, maybe a slightly lighter tone. I don't like kind of having to say things like that, and sometimes you just, there's basically no way avoiding that. If you, like, this is just an example, there's no way avoiding if you jump off a roof that's too high, you'll probably break your legs, you know. There's no way of avoiding that. Personally, for me, I don't even like to say that breaking your legs is what happens when you jump off the roof. And jumping off the roof could be anything. It basically equates to you have your chances of actually getting into the highest degree of glory inside of heaven are a lot less. And I really, really run from pain. I hate pain. I hate needles, drawing blood, anything to do with pain. It's not fun, and it's horrible. And I've really, really learned this, especially back 2016 when my dad passed away. And I needed to request work off for the funeral, and I kind of sort of didn't want to, but, you know, I did, and my mom said I had to, and kind of made sense, and so I did, and I was there for the funeral. But, like, you know, when I said that I needed it off because my dad had died, they were like, and this is the call center, which I didn't really like that job, and there were other not so perfect things with it, but they were like, oh, I'm so sorry. You can have the whole week off and we'll still pay you. And I was like, no, I just need tomorrow off for the funeral, and then I'm coming back into work. And my original reason for that was because it's a big, huge waste just to sit on the couch and cry about something. There's stuff to be done. I have a YouTube channel to run. There was the job, which I should show up for and actually work at the call center. Excuse me. And there was the and just all these other things. And after the funeral, you know, I found out that it's kind of not like that. Ooh, one second. Beautiful sunset. Yeah. Anyways, it's am I zoomed in some? No, I'm not good. It's not necessarily like that. My mom, she did kind of take a break from seeing chiropractic patients and took some time to rest. She took some time to grieve and cry, which is really good for her to work over things. And, you know, it was, for my dad even, it was kind of sad. And he didn't want to die, and during his dying process, which looked painful, my mom asked him, you know, like, why do you want to live? You've been stuck in a wheelchair for so many years, and it's painful for you. And he said, because I like talking to people. And that was very true. And, you know, my relationship with my dad wasn't, like, the best. There were some things that could have been improved. That's kind of for another topic. But that's why he wanted to live. And for his death, it wasn't necessarily painful because he was having a water fill up in his lungs. Excuse me. And so he he got and so because it was filling up, it was hard for him to breathe. There was a lot more, especially with his multiple sclerosis, MS, which is why he was stuck in a wheelchair. It was very weak, and so it was harder for him to breathe in and out, and there was a lot more carbon monoxide building up, which then kind of cutted some circulation off to the brain and made it harder for him to notice pain. It was almost like, you know, a drug or whatnot that was relieving the pain, and he didn't take any painkillers. It wasn't really painful for him. And my mom, she said that sometimes, you know, like you put somebody to pump the water out of their lungs and keep things going, but what you end up doing is just make it more painful because they feel all of the pain as they're kind of slowly dying from it, which was interesting. But the big thing after his funeral, and I kind of saw that my mom, you know, she did take time to grieve, and she kind of slowed down life just a little bit, but she was still washing the dishes and stuff and doing other things. She wasn't like me after my girlfriend broke up with me, my one and only relationship. There will be others, but I kind of sort of just went into it all. What do I do? Crying, not do much of anything. I went on walks and tried to do things to keep myself happy, but it was very much an unproductive state. When I was, when I was like 40-50% over it, you know, that was when I got my first job, which was at a pizza shop, and started working there. And so then you kind of had to, but I was kind of sort of just not doing a whole lot of anything really, and being what I would consider very unproductive. Not much of my YouTube channel, my kind of underlying thing, like, I wasn't beating myself up about it. There were some things where I felt were strong enough that I did, like, say, why do you do that, you idiot? You know, like, if you go see the videos when my parakeet Green died, and my quote-unquote smoking issue, not smoking, but it's something I use to reference it. That's something that I kind of used to beat myself up about and say, like, why have you been doing it for so long? You're an idiot, you're stupid, and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore. I've gotten over it. But I didn't say that about my not doing much of anything after she broke up with me. But my kind of underlying thing, that was really unproductive and a bad idea to spend that much time just basically crying 90% of the day and not doing much of anything. Well, because that was my underlying principle, I kind of was, in an alternate way, beating myself up inside, and it wasn't good. And but, you know, once I saw that my mom wasn't just doing absolutely nothing but crying, and then I really realized that I didn't want to go straight back to work and get straight back to my projects, one of which was actually working on Airborne Death. That was kind of finishing up the script and finding actors stage. And it wasn't about continuing to be productive. It was about the fact that I absolutely hated pain. And if I went to work and I got back busy with my projects and I kept on doing things and just kind of sort of put off somewhere in the back of my mind the fact that my dad was dead, I wouldn't feel that pain because I hated pain and I was running from pain. And for me, it was kind of sort of easy because my relationship, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, wasn't super great with my dad. Some things could have been improved. But there were still some things. I did take some time to cry. And even thinking about them now, kind of cry, like, he's not going to be here to see Airborne Death. I kind of wanted that. Especially since, and I need to ask my mom and my stepdad why, but it's kind of this way now, but it was back then too, where, like, you know, I would show my parents something, and then, what did you think? And my mom would give an answer, my dad would be kind of quiet, and I never thought to specifically ask him. So he saw a lot of my YouTube videos that I did, but I don't know what he thought of them. And that's kind of sort of big when your dad went to BYU and he made a movie. There's that. He won't be around to see me advance the priesthood, which will be after I quit, quote-unquote, smoking. And that's a religious thing. I'm a Mormon, full name Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So he won't be around to see that. And my wife probably won't meet him. I mean, unless, you know, I don't know. She would have had to be somebody that I already know, or somehow met him somewhere and then I meet her. Excuse me. But yeah, he's not going to be there for those things. And, you know, something interesting, like, I'd think of that and other sad things like green dyeing when I was practicing for my film to, you know, help me be sad for the parts where I needed to cry. And it helps. And then, but when I'm practicing, I find that it doesn't work as good. I'm not crying as much as the random moment where, oh, yeah, that's right, my dad's dead, and he won't be here for those things. And then on set, a little bit less crying, but I think I did good enough for the film. And that was the thing, that it took little moments to hit me. Because most of the time, I wasn't doing a whole lot with my dad. But then after he died, the moments where I would interact with him, they hit me. It was like one time I don't remember if I went and bought a pizza or something, or I made something and I was like, and there's some for Mom, and then I'll share some with Dad, and oh wait, he's not here to share it with. That's when it really hit me big time. With that moment there, I realized, oh, he's not there for that. And it actually was a big burden lightning, because excuse me. Crying triggers my gag reflex. Excuse me. But it was, one second, I gotta breathe. Calm the gag reflex down. I don't want to puke tonight. So it was, that's when it kind of, there we go, I think. That's when it kind of hit how sad it was. It was, the burden was lightened quite a bit. For me and my mom, because we didn't have to put him in bed at night and do all these things to take care of him, so it was good for us, but I still kind of miss him. Still kind of miss him today. Mostly because of the things that he's not going to be here for. And sadly, some of those things are kind of big. And it's like, here, let's pull my dad in for the big things. When, and then the rest of the time, I don't really want to interact with him. I'll just let him go into his room and watch sports and other things. Because he was always doing that, destructive pain. Okay, I hope that's it. Actually. I'm gonna grab a mint. Should calm my throat. Put you down for a second. There is my... Don't worry. I'm not dying. I'm just sad. Which triggers my gag reflex. But mints... I just calm. Mint calms my stomach down. So it's useful to take a mint for me when I'm having gag reflex and stuff. So, anyways, see how much battery I have left too. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Where was I? Yeah. So kind of like then, you know, the rest of the time, don't spend time with him. Just have him there for the big moments. Make it look like a somewhat normal family, but then not. But if I really think about it too, I actually really did want him there. It wasn't just to have kind of this face to the outward world, because I don't do that. On this channel, you guys see me. I do want to do some more videos kind of showing almost everyday life. Not necessarily a vlog, but maybe a few vlog videos here and there so that you really get to see more of me. Because I feel some of the things that I do on here, they're kind of serious and not silly, and I want to get a little more silly out just for you guys. So you see more of what I am like in real life. So, I was basically running away from pain when he died. I hate pain. And with this trip here, I'm not super sad about my step-grandfather passing away. I'll probably cry a little bit when I get there, because when I was young, like, when I was really, really young, and my mom would spend time with my grandma on her side of the family, so her mom, and the time that they spent, I saw it as, because I didn't spend a whole lot of time with those grandparents, you know, then they weren't 100% the spoiled grandkids type either, like my grandma and my dad's side of the family is. But, you know, when they would spend time together and talk about stuff, I kind of felt like, well, mom's hanging out with grandma. That's time that she's not spending with me, and I don't like it. So when grandma died, I didn't say this out loud because I didn't want to be rude, which a little bit odd because there were plenty of other ways in which I was rude back then. When I was young, like 6 or 7 maybe. But my thought was, yay, grandma died. Now I have mom all to myself, pretty much. But then at the funeral, I actually was crying. It was sad and something that I thought very interesting and pondered about for a while. And it was, so pretty much just, you know, yeah, pretty much sad. And I really, really do not like pain. Fortunately, my mom is like a chiropractor, and this is kind of for another video, but I will say, we don't really do doctor's visits. We never done shots or anything. I have had blood drawn a few times, and it's just not, oh, I hate it. So fortunately, we don't do that sort of a thing, because I hate that a lot. And so yeah, with my grandpa dying, it probably will be a little bit sad when I'm there. I'm planning on doing a clock hunting episode up there, and maybe possibly get a clock hunting episode in, because there's a thrift store down here that I looked up. Don't have a lot of money to do this with, but it's kind of like I'm on a trip, so here, why not get myself some souvenirs? Otherwise, I would totally have gone and done one a few weeks ago at Savers in Orem. But that's kind of the plan. I'm going to get a little clock hunting in while I'm here. I'll do it on my phone, because my phone looks nice enough. Right now it doesn't, but I feel like that's nice enough, and it will be nice because it's not so it won't bring as much attention as if I have a physical camera with me, you know. And, you know, for all people know, I could just be, like, video chatting with somebody. Like, what about this one? Do you want me to get this one for you? For my wife or something? I don't know. So there's a plan for that. Any other thoughts before I wrap up this video? That is the moon. Yeah, not going to see much there, but the moon. Not really any more thoughts that I can think of. Seems like there was more that I wanted to say. Oh, the one thing that kind of makes me a little bit sad about this death, but I have consolation for this, is at first, you know, when I heard about it, I was kind of thinking, that's kind of sad, but not super sad because he's gone up to heaven, and then, but, oh, that's actually a little bit sadder now that I think about it, because it's almost like a wasted surgery. But then I realized, well, we actually didn't have any idea. And so that should be consolation. If you're ever feeling like, you know, you put a bunch of surgery into a loved one, and then they died on you, don't necessarily feel like it was a waste, because you couldn't necessarily know. Some things you can, but this, it was like broken back and broken neck, and they did some surgery in both places. And I think the back was, I think the neck was healing nicely, but the back was needed a little bit more support and a little more help to heal. And so it was relatively short, and, you know, and I'm really hoping that kind of the general consensus amongst everybody is, you know, he had a good life. We were happy to have him in our lives, and now he's up there in heaven, no longer in whatever pain he had from, I don't think he was diabetic, but it was a little bit hard for him to move around. I forget what my grandpa Ben had, but, you know, hey, that's what's going on. Oh, that was the other thought I was trying to think of. So I was kind of wondering, you know, it feels like the last couple of years, a lot of people have been dying around me, like my friend's grandma, who I didn't know her personally, but she passed away. I think it was one of them, and another person passed away, kind of close, a lot closer than the random dude in the obituaries. You know, people that I know, my father, now my step-grandfather, and I was kind of thinking, why all of a sudden now? Why is it? But then I realized that part of it is, oh. Yeah, part of it is just, like, the age of people. Some of these people, they're up there, and it's getting closer to their time to go. Just, it's because of timing. Not a whole lot of something else going on, other coincidences. It's just timing. So that's pretty much it for my thoughts on death. If I think of anything more, I'll do an amendment to this. I probably have a few things I forgot. But that's what Let's Talk is. It's me kind of just open-candidly sharing my thoughts. Sometimes as I think about them. Other times I want to do a Let's Talk on this, and I think about it for a week or two and then do the Let's Talk. But that's what this show is. So, if you kind of liked me talking about my thoughts, please go check out the other Let's Talk. Check out the rest of my channel, too. If this wasn't floating your boat, I do other stuff that's less rambly, especially now. I've got a few videos planned where I'm going to talk about stuff, but they're going to be scripted. And there's a lot of fun things you can enjoy. They've got months that are being more detailedly planned out. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in whatever's next.